Hey everyone, Christine here to make a quick tutorial on how to put tattoos on BJDs. Now, in case you are new to the channel and you don't know what a BJD is a ball jointed doll. Now, these two in front of me are made out of resin. So I wanted to show you the two examples of ways that you can put tattoos on resin dolls. Now, I haven't tried it on vinyl yet, but I am pretty sure it works just the same. The first thing that you have to do is you have to use a sealant. So here are two different sealants. This one was bought from, well, it's called ZM first of all, and it is a spray that will help you seal super doll fees, so it's sold by Volks. And this one, which is most widely used, is called Mr. Super Clear, also known as MSC. And this particular one is the UV cut one. Both of them are used to seal resin dolls or vinyl dolls. Now, on the head of my resin sole yun, you can probably see these tattoos. And the way that I did them was I drew them out in pencil, so not just regular pencil, but watercolor pencils, like these. Any color to start, light one probably first in case you mess up, but any color that you can see. And once you've figured out where the things are going to be placed, then you can color them in using watercolor pencil or paint. The kind of paint that I use when I use paint on the dolls to make tattoos like this one here is watercolor paint. You can use acrylic. The only problem that I find with using acrylic is that once you put it down, it's really hard to get off when it's dry, so you kind of have to scrape it off or kind of take off that layer, which can sometimes mess it up if it's not the first thing you put down. So I usually just use watercolor. Anyway, the other way, which I find to be incredibly simple, is to make your own temporary tattoos, print them out online. You can do them on your own PC, or there are websites that you can do them at, and put them on your BJDs. So this is a pretty big one, and you can probably see the outline of it, and I'll tell you why in a moment when I show you, but this is probably the easiest way, and for me, I think it looks great. So the pros and the cons. The pros of getting to have your own painted on is that you don't see any outlines or anything like that from the tattoo that you've placed. My cat is drinking the water I was going to use for this video. Anyway, and you know, you get to really add details without having to worry about what size it's going to be when you print it out and so on. The pros of having the temporary tattoos is that they look more like sharp. So if you know you're not that great of an artist, or you know that your hand is a little shaky, or you know the pencil that you used isn't like perfect, those problems don't happen when you print out the tattoo. The cons of it are if you don't put enough MSC on top of it, or you don't cut close enough to the actual tattoo, you will see the outline of that tattoo. And I'll show you that in a minute. So I order from a website called Sticker U. I'll show you in a minute. Move her to the side. And here are one of their printed out sheets. One of these, ooh, that says my name. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, right? Bloop, there we go. So one of these sheets costs like $15 or something plus shipping. And it's really not that bad considering how many tattoos you can print on one of these. So they give you this much room, and you basically just put out as many tattoos as they fit. And it shows you like how many inches they're gonna be. So if you want them to be like for SD size, you'd have to make, you know, bigger images than you would if it was an MSD size doll like this one. So I printed out a bunch of stuff, and as you can see, I already cut one out. This is one of my cutouts. Now you notice I didn't cut perfectly against the black areas. Now I'm mentioning that because those areas right there still have clear tattoo film. So when they go on the doll, depending on the color of the doll, it may or may not be noticeable. And if you don't put enough MSC on top, Mr. Super Clear or whatever sealant you're using, to mat it down, it might be even more noticeable. It's kind of like when you wear contacts and you can kind of see the line around it. It's clear. I don't know if you guys wear contacts, but I do. Anyway, so this is the one that I'm going to be using. Ooh, on this MSD size doll. I'm actually going to put it on her back. Now, the first thing you have to do is you have to spray the body or whatever area you're going to be putting the tattoo on. I used Mr. Super Clear and I did 2 coats. Some people will tell you only need 1. Some people will say you need 3. I usually do 2 or 3. And I do that because I want to make sure I protect the resin from whatever I'm putting on it. Especially if I'm using watercolor pencils, or even more importantly, if I'm using paint. So, where did I put it? Here it is. I'm going to be putting this on this back, and the first thing I have to do is peel off the top layer. Now, as soon as you do this, it starts attracting lint to this, so if you have like a really, you know, hairy area or something and hair gets stuck there, it's going to be really hard to get it off because it is sticky. And then I have to wipe the area that I'm going to put this down on. If you don't do that, you may get little lint pieces stuck between these 2 things and it will bubble up. It might still bubble up even without that, to be honest, especially if the area that you're putting on it, or that you're putting it on, is not smooth. So see how she's got shoulder blades here? I have to make sure that I bend this down and push it in, or else it's gonna have air bubbles and it's nearly impossible to get it out. That is another con that I did not mention about using these temporary tattoos. So of course, I had some water over here. My cat decided to drink it. But any little sponge or whatever to, you know, rub the back of this, you're gonna need one. Oh, I just wet my hand. But let's see. I am not gonna be able to center this perfectly, but I'll try my best. Let's see. Now that's another reason you'd want to cut this out like very close to whatever you're cutting. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. Let's see. So once I put it down, I have to push it, because if not, it's not going to come out right. But I want to make sure it's even. Bloop. Now that I've pushed it down, I can start rubbing it into place. So here is my little quote-unquote sponge. Not really a sponge, but now some people will do this for longer than others. Oh, I just wet my sheet. Oh no. Let me move that out of the way. But you're basically going to keep the water on top of it. Let it soak. I usually do this for about 30 seconds, sometimes a minute. This isn't going to mess up the doll at all because it's just water. Now, I don't want to peel it without knowing that it's down. So instead of peeling it up, I'm actually going to push sideways. Ta-da! And there is my tattoo. Now, you could leave it like that, but eventually it will start coming off if you don't seal it. So to seal it, you have to wait for it to dry because it's all wet right now. And you have to use either MSC or whichever other thing you like to use. There are other ones. People paint some of them on, or, you know, whatever. But I don't do that. I actually take it outside and spray it. Before I show that step, because of course I can't actually show that, I will mention one other thing that you can do to make sure that this does not get chipped or messed up. There is something called Tamiya X22, and this is glossy, but it's another way to seal it so that it doesn't get messed up or chipped. So if you really want to make sure, like if it's one of those spots that might get messed up easily, you can paint X22 on it and it will make it glossy. But once you have sprayed it with MSC or any kind of matte spray, you won't be able to see the shine from the Tamiya X22. And actually, I'm pretty sure they sell, let me see, they sell one that isn't glossy. which is called Tamiya Color, and it's flat clear XF86. So those are the two things that you could use to kind of strengthen the tattoo, or the temporary tattoo that you've put. So I can't paint it until it's dry because I will mess it up, but I'll show you real quickly what this looks like. So you can see that that's way easier than trying to paint it yourself. And actually, I'm not sure that I could draw that with a pencil as easily as I just did that. So, let's see. It's still not completely dry. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to show you how I apply one of these coats to it, which you'll have to wait an hour after that to do anything to it. But you guys will see how that works. Be right back. Hey everyone, we are back. So I have let this dry. It was only a couple of minutes, but it is dry to the touch, and I've wiped off the area just to be sure. Now I've decided I'm going to go ahead and use the FX86, the Tamiya FX86, but like I said, once you spray it down with MSC, it's going to be matte anyway, so you can use the X22. This is a step that isn't necessary, so if you don't want to do this, if you don't need the extra added strength, you don't need to do it. I will mention this stuff is very strong smelling, so I would do this in a ventilated area. I'm doing this in my house because obviously I don't care about my health. Not really, but let's just say I'm doing this for you guys, okay? If you want to wear a mask for this, go for it. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint on top of everything I just put down. And the reason I'm doing this is because if it were to get scratched, it is less likely to chip if it has another coat on top of it. That's my dog over there. He just loves to be near me. You can use a much bigger paintbrush. I'm using this one because I want to get into the edges. I just put a humongous blob by accident, so hopefully I will be able to get rid of that blob in the middle. Either way, you cannot do anything for an hour after you put this down. So you can't put a second coat until you've let it sit for an hour. I've put 2 coats and never had a problem. Oh no, I moved something. I guess I didn't let it sit long enough, guys. See what happens? So I moved this thing here and it went out of place. There we go. Hopefully that's okay. Anyway, where was I? So I'm just gonna paint over this on every spot. Now I messed this up. I gotta try to get it back, but I can't. Can you even tell? Yes. Trying to pull it back down, but it's not. Oh wait, I think I got it. That's pretty close. Now once that sits for an hour, then I can spray it with MSC. And like I said, that is a step that is not necessary. I just like to do it because, you know, I pull shirts off and put them back on, and I can be very uncareful with it, and I have chipped tattoos before, so that's what it would look like. And of course you have to get it all the way to the edge, or else the edges might get cut. Now, after this, I can't show you this part because I'd have to take it into the hallway or outside or something to spray it down, and you know, that's a lot of work. But you would put at least one more coat of this, or until this doesn't look shiny, which in my case, it won't look shiny anyway because it's the flat one. So thank you for watching the video, and I hope that this helped you guys make temporary tattoos for your dolls, or helped you, you know, figure out if you want to use temporary tattoos for your dolls. Thanks for watching.